If we're only having the conversation with educators and administrators, we've missed the boat because students need to be a part of the conversation. Young people today are way better equipped to handle the issues that they're facing than we are. The generation gap is huge. So if we are not engaging in conversation with our young people around how best to ensure they're safe and responsible and utilizing technologies appropriately and making us aware of what we don't even know, then we're not best equipping ourselves to deal with the issues.
You're listening to the smartsocial.com podcast. I'm your host, Josh Ochs. This is our District Talk segment where we interview district leaders to learn how they're keeping students safe on social media so those students can someday shine online. Now, let's get back to the interview.
Hi, I'm Kerry Callahan. I'm the Superintendent of Western Placer Unified School District, just northeast of Sacramento in Lincoln, California. We serve about 8,000 students in TK through 12th grade in 14 school sites.
How has the prevalence of technology in the classroom impacted student learning and engagement?
To me, this is a double-edged sword. I think that access and opportunities for rich learning and engagement is there, but it can be hindered by the lack of human interaction. So when we're putting up a screen, it makes it more difficult to engage as human beings, and we naturally need that. And I've also seen a lot of just misuse or overuse, and COVID especially did this. And I think districts are grappling with how to find a balance between technology and the absolute need for it during COVID, and that healthy balance of the human interaction and the way in which humans are motivated and engaged is by that human touch and opportunity to have face-to-face conversations versus being hidden behind a screen. But I think there's lots of opportunities for amazing, enriching access and ease through technology, but it's a fine balance.
How can school districts like yours deal with social media issues that may originate on a social media app, but then create a very real problem on campus?
So this is a tough one because it's not cut and dry. There's a lot of gray in terms of freedom of speech versus disruption of school activities. And to me, it comes down to the teachable moments is what are we doing on a regular basis to utilize moments when perhaps someone hasn't used social media appropriately and engaging with our students in dialogue around how can we approach this differently in the future? How do we ensure that we're being good stewards of social media and we're not allowing it to become a disruption at school? And then certainly if there is an issue that has caused such a disruption at school, there are times in which students do need to be disciplined for the way in which they might be engaging on social media and impacting the well-being or mental health of some of our students based on what's happening.
Yeah, excellent. Can you provide some examples of how your students may have used their social media in a positive or productive way that may have benefited perhaps themselves or their community?
Many of our students are using it as part of their athletics and their clubs, service projects to provide school accolades. We have journalism classes at both of our comprehensive high schools, and students are taking to social media regularly to highlight great things that are happening on their school campuses. Individually, we have students who are actually paid influencers now, and they are being sent products by companies, and they are out doing very positive influencing around products that we would maybe want our kids to have and use based on what's good for teenagers these days. But I would say the number one is that a lot of them are really using it to highlight service projects and things that they're doing within the community, and then all of the great things that are happening on our school campuses. And we have arts media programs also at both of our comprehensive high schools. And as a school district, we have a marketing and communications coordinator, and we actually hire student interns every year, and they are charged with doing a lot of that social media blasting for all of our schools across the district and what's going really well, as well as communicating out when things are maybe not so great and making sure people have the information that they need so they're informed.
In the age of one-to-one, how are you preparing students for positive technology use both in the classroom and at home?
It really comes down to the balance and overuse of technology and when is it appropriate to use the technology, when is it appropriate to engage directly with those that are around you physically, what are the do's and don'ts in terms of the proper etiquette for social media use, both at home and then at school as well. We work with students to kind of establish agreements within the classrooms about, how are we going to show up every day in our classroom? And it might be a little bit different from teacher to teacher. A math
Yeah.
teacher who's allowing for students to utilize their phones to search or to access their calculators or whatever that might be. And then there are other teachers, although we don't promote it in our district, to completely not allow the use of technology in the classroom at our schools, because if you can't beat them, join them. It really is important that we ensure that our classrooms are reflective of what they're experiencing outside of the classroom. And so we really do encourage the use of technology. We ask that our teachers work directly with the students to come up with agreements about what it's going to look like in class on a regular basis, and then in special circumstances when there might be a project that they're working on and having to navigate what the technology use is going to look like during that time. But I really do think it comes down to just a balance. When is it appropriate timing wise, and when is it really better for us to have that human interaction and set the technology aside?
How have you been successful in increasing parent engagement to help keep students safe on social media?
We've done some parent workshops. It started actually with the issues related to human trafficking and just the prevalence that we saw in our community by bringing parents in, talking to them about what are the look fors in terms of their children on social media and how they can go about protecting them from, unfortunately, human trafficking. And then we have also engaged our parents through an app called Go Guardian, where parents in collaboration with staff are able to kind of monitor and track their child's use of social media and internet searches and those types of things while they're at school.
Are there any stories that might come to mind about any social media incidents you may have been able to get in front of or even perhaps avoid by being proactive?
Certainly for us, the quick communication is always key, and the transparency in our work. We have a motto in our district that we are going to do our work transparently. And the more in which we can be out there and communicating information and educating our community, the more likely we are to able to combat any issues related to social media, which a lot of times for us, at least from the bigger picture as a district, is misinformation and just what people might say in response to communications. And so we're just constantly being quick in our communications and transparent in our work.
Great. I love that. I wrote that down. The next question I have for you, Superintendent, is what would your advice be to other educators and other administrators to work together to create a culture of digital safety and responsibility in their schools?
First and foremost would be, if we're only having the conversation with educators and administrators, we've missed the boat, because students need to be a part of the conversation. Young people today are way better equipped to handle the issues that they're facing than we are. The generation gap is huge. So if we are not engaging in conversation with our young people around how best to ensure they're safe and responsible and utilizing technologies appropriately and making us aware of what we don't even know, then we're not best equipping ourselves to deal with the issues.
Yeah. Well said. What is your biggest social media concern for the future?
Continual demise of human interaction. I think
Mhm.
AI is going to continue to impact that. I think technology is amazing. I truly do. But I really worry that people are hiding behind screens. They are missing out on the opportunity to engage face to face with humans. When people do that, they're much happier. I see it in my
Yeah.
own son. I see it in staff. I see it in myself.
Now, funding is difficult across the country. What advice would you give to other districts to secure the funding to create the very resources that parents need?
The biggest thing for me is that teachable moments are free. It doesn't cost a lot to stop in a moment and utilize that opportunity to engage young people or parents around do's and don'ts and best practices. I also
Mhm.
think that in terms of securing funding, because resources are limited and it's not going to be out there all the time, utilizing students and what they're really gifted at, because they are better at technology than we are as adults. And if we can collaborate and work closely with them, they are going to be our least expensive workers too. They're young, they're coming out as interns. We could pay them at a minimum wage job and secure them in roles to really help us launch proper use of technology in our school district. What better way to do that than engaging our kids for kids?
Yeah, so true. Engaging kids for kids. I'm going to write that down. That's a really cool way. I love it. How is your school district approaching AI tools like ChatGPT?
With curiosity and exploration, we have put it out there to staff and said, play, do everything you can to figure out what it can do, what it can't do. And we've established a work group and have just brought in the early adopters to just have conversations about what's working, what's not, what are we afraid of, what are we excited about. We're going to start partnering with those who know more than us, and we're going to start establishing parameters and guardrails for us as a district. If we can't beat them, join them. And I think similar to one-to-one Chromebooks or any other thing technology related, we're not going to keep technology out of the hands of our young people. And so we need to figure out how to come alongside them with those tools and resources and put the proper parameters and guardrails in place so that they're safe when they're using it.
Now, the next question I have about this revolution that we're in,
Mm-hmm.
are there any positive use cases that you've heard of from students or even teachers around AI tools like ChatGPT?
Surprisingly, in our English classes, especially because one might think that the English teachers are the most afraid of it because of cheating or other issues. But many of our English teachers, instead of teaching students how to do a 5-paragraph essay, for example, they are giving them a well-crafted AI created 5-paragraph essay, walking through all the nuances of it, and then telling the students they now have to recreate that essay in their own voice so that it is theirs and it's not an AI generated one. It's like they're doing the reverse of what they were doing previously because it's there for them already.
And I love that because it's like, rather than saying, don't touch fire, don't light the match. It's like, hey, we're going to light the match and we're going to show you, oh, it hurts, right? How can we use this for good?
Yes.
I absolutely love that approach.
Yeah.
I think it's so.
Yeah. Our teachers have been giving the students the answer that they're looking for. This is the answer that I want. You need to use chat and identify for me what queries you wrote, right? What questions did you ask chat to get the answer that I was looking for? Because they're trying to get them better at using it, because it really is only going to be as good as we can ask it to provide us. So clarity around our communications. And it's been really fascinating to see the kids go, I didn't get the answer I was looking for. Maybe I wasn't as clear in what I was asking for, and an opportunity to reflect on communication styles. It's interesting.
Yeah, so great. Okay, final question about AI tools. With regards to AI tools like ChatGPT, are you changing any of your techniques for grading students and the types of assignments perhaps being used in the classroom?
Not yet. We anticipate that it will be a part of the conversations that we have as our work group continues to build those guardrails and parameters. But as of yet, we're just barely jumping in and anticipate that that'll be something that we tackle in the future.
Thanks for listening to our smartsocial.com podcast. I'm your host, Josh Ochs. This was our District Talk segment where we interview school district leaders to learn how they're keeping students safe on social media so those students can someday launch into their future by shining online. This episode was brought to you by our smartsocial.com VIP program. It's called the Very Informed Parent Program, which helps you engage your students with teen-led video lessons. Stay one step ahead with our premium parent newsletter and discover hidden features on trending apps on teens' phones and our 54 plus live parent and student-friendly events every single year. You can click on the link below to chat with one of our team members if you want a free pass to our VIP program to support your community with our smartsocial.com resources. And if you're a district leader who has a success story, we would love to feature you on a future episode. You can click the links below to reach out. Thanks so much for listening, and we look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Have a great day.